Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day. As always, leaving a like, leaving a comment, leaving 2 comments, or subscribing. All these things do help with the algorithm. Welcome back to another News I Missed, where I go over news I missed. There's a lot always happening in this sector. Any extra news that happens to be after I made my daily video, I bring them to you in these videos as well. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. It says, while many might think of Stellar Lumens XLM Lumens as a rival to Ripple's XRP, which it is, there's much more to the dynamic since the two cryptos have very different operating models. That is not true. The latest report on Stellar only proves this point. One piece of news that caught the attention of not just investors, but also fintech stakeholders was the Stellar Development Foundation's announcement that smart contracts would make their debut on the Lumens network this year. Here's the tweet for that right here. It says smart contracts are coming to Stellar. One of the questions of DeFi updates, Stellar's VP of Tech Strategy, Tamer Weller, shared that MoneyGram is now part of the project to support crypto to cash conversions in around 300,000 international locations. So the news, and I'm going to give you a full rundown on exactly what's actually taking place. The news is, and was quite popular, that Stellar Lumens, the Lumens Foundation company, people are going to be adding smart contracts, and they have partnered with MoneyGram, and MoneyGram is going to be using the Lumens blockchain to issue the USDC. I believe that's which coin is actually going to be on it to actually do the transactions back and forth. This is a literal tale as old as time. If you've been here since 2017, you probably know the great rundown of this. A lot of people for a very long time, I think online propaganda worked very well in 2017 and 2018 to try and get people to really differentiate or find a difference between Stellar Lumens and or XRP when they're the exact same thing, were made by the exact same person. And the news is, allegedly, so we heard, the original creator of XRP could not gain as much control, allegedly, of the company as he wanted, and therefore went to create Stellar Lumens in an effort to simply say, well, ours is better and faster and stronger. And this is where the beginning of the entire security, XRP as a security conversation began to take shape. When I say that all cryptocurrencies are basically the same at this point, it's because they're basically all following the same exact structure of every other coin. If Ethereum does it, Cardano ends up doing it. If Cardano ends up doing it, XRP does it. If XRP does it, Litecoin also has a discussion as if they want to do the exact same thing. Stellar Lumens trying to get and or activate smart contracts on their platform. It's not that it's not amazing or wonderful or incredible, but every other project has announced the exact same thing before, because usually within the cryptocurrency space, a lot of these projects lack actual vision of what could actually take shape in the future. And this is why you see a lot of cryptocurrency platforms and blockchains discussing adding smart contracts, adding an NFT platform, adding a decentralized exchange, or adding some type of a loan platform where you can take out loans against something. It's because, once again, the broad lack of imagination. So the news, once again, for those of you not looking at the screen, the people from XRP announced last year that they were going to be creating smart contracts on the platform. Now the Lumens people are doing it. At the end of last year, the people from Ripple announced that they were going to be initiating, activating, starting an NFT platform on their thing as well. I would assume, I give it to around June, we will probably be hearing the exact same thing from the people from Stellar Lumens. A lot of people, once again, tend to forget, and I'm not really sure why, once again, made by the same person, have the exact same purpose. The original intent of Ripple, which they've also slightly moved away from as the years have gone on, is to be used by banks, to have the banks use XRP as their main currency as they are sending transactions back and forth around the world. The idea being that XRP settles in under 1 second, and therefore there would be very little, if not none slippage when it comes to any type of price movement of the actual fiat currency that they're trying to swap into. A lot of people tend to forget as well that the original intent of Stellar Lumens, and is probably the exact same thing as it is right now, is to actually work with the banking sector. This is one of the very big things in 2017 that I tried to wave a flag and tell everyone loudly that it was the exact same thing, because people kept on saying that in 2017 and 2018 and 2019 that Ripple and XRP were terrible because they were trying to work with banks. In a lot of older videos, I even showed people the actual Lumens website, where they've also done like a light rebranding, which we're going to talk about as well, where I showed the actual Lumens website, and it also said at the very top, we want to work with banks. Our idea is banking, worldwide banking using cryptocurrency. The exact same thing. Lumens is currently on the path of a very weird rebranding that they've been trying to do for a couple of years now. You might remember at the end of 2019, for those of you not looking at the screen, once again, I told you I would give you the full rundown, because this news that came out is being touted as not only is Lumens doing, Stellar Foundation doing something that no other blockchain has ever done before, which is getting smart contracts, but the fact that they've partnered with MoneyGram is something, you know, who else could have possibly done that kind of thing? At the very end of 2019, with their popularity waning, as a lot of people just simply weren't caring about many of the coins that were talking about trying to get into the banking sector anymore, the people from Lumens decided to burn 50% of the supply of Lumens and or the supply that the company was holding, in the exact same near mimic of what the people from Ripple and XRP were doing, holding large amounts of the cryptocurrency that they were actually backing and or supporting or were associated with in some sort of way. I made sure to mention in that video, doesn't this seem a little bit centralized? The idea of having a decentralized protocol, there's probably not around, I'm going to assume, this is a heavy assumption, there are probably not around 5 people on the planet right now who can actually decide to find Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet and burn all the coins that are inside of it. Seems a little unbelievable, right? So it seemed a little weird when we had these people get on stage talking about that they had burned 50% of all the lumens that they had or that were actually out there in existence. And I was like, hey, that sounds a little bit centralized. And I assume many other people over the last couple of years have also realized this. And this is why Stellar Lumens is currently coin number 30 when it used to be coin number 7 or something like that within the cryptocurrency space. So to the actual point of the acquisition or using of MoneyGram, and MoneyGram is like, yeah, let's totally do this. Let's make sure that cryptocurrencies are number one. People forget very easily. Does anyone remember this news? I hope you do, because once again, this is why I always make sure to mention, I know it gets annoying. I know a lot of times when you hear me say this was about a week ago, this was about 10 days ago, this happened about 2.5 months ago, this happened 4.5 months ago, this happened about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. I don't say those because I like hearing myself talk. I'm telling you to make sure that you have an actual constant reference of what's always taking place within the cryptocurrency space. A lot of times we end up getting news that something has happened or is currently taking place right now, and I go, hey, that actually happened about 6 months ago. What is that person talking about? And then I make sure to find the original article that we went over together to show you exactly what I mean. For those of you not looking at the screen, at the middle of last year, we had news that allegedly the Stellar Foundation, along with around 3 other companies, were actually looking to acquire MoneyGram. It made quite big popular news. It was all over the place. And then out of nowhere, everyone seemingly completely forgot that this even ever took place. So the news now that we're having today is that MoneyGram is going to be using the Lumens blockchain to actually pass the stablecoin through it. Why is this not major news? Because allegedly Stellar Lumens, the foundation, already owns MoneyGram. Them having something that they own use their blockchain is not a partnership. It's simply a using of their own resources. Has everyone forgotten that this actually took place? You can find it. There were multiple companies who joined in on this endeavor. So anyway, yeah, just thought I'd give you the full rundown. I'm going to start doing a lot more of these where I give you like an actual really strong in-depth of everything that's actually taking place, because a lot of times we end up getting news and I sit there, I'll discuss the news with you. I'll tell you what's actually going on. But a lot of times you hear me saying, I don't know, there's actually more to this, but I don't have the actual tabs at the top of the screen. I'm going to start making sure that anytime that I see actual nonsense in the cryptocurrency space, I'll make sure to give you the actual rundown of things that we went through before. So it's not insignificant by any means that MoneyGram as a large company would be using cryptocurrencies and or blockchain in any type of aspect. But the news isn't that large when it comes to something that you already own. Imagine you being like, oh yeah, I have a place to live. And then we find out that you actually own 45 different homes in multiple countries around the world. And it's like, well, that's already your apartment. So it's not anything that amazing or crazy that you would be using your own resource to, to further the movement of your life, company, what have you. Anyway, that's the Stellar Lumens news. Yeah, kind of crazy, right? It puts a lot of it into perspective when you see the actual articles and remember, oh, this all actually did take place before, but, Alrighty. Without further ado, let's move on. Also, in something that was very popular, and I don't really... Okay, Facebook's parent company, who is now known as Meta, said that it has a newly created artificial intelligence research supercluster, or an RSC, which will pave the way towards building the metaverse. The social media giant said it believes the RSC is already one of the fastest supercomputers in the world and will snag the top spot when it becomes fully operational sometime at the middle of this year, according to a Monday blog post unveiling the hardware. Developing, they said, the next generation of advanced AI will require powerful new computers capable of quintillions of operations per second. For reference, Bitcoin does 3 transactions per second. Ethereum does 15. And I think the last we heard, there was one blockchain, I think, that does like 7,000 transactions per second. Not a million, not 100 million, not a billion, not 10 billion, not 100 billion. Quintillions of operations per second. I don't think the human mind can actually even comprehend how many that actually is. They said ultimately the work was done. The work done with RSC will pave the way towards building technologies for the next major computing platform, the metaverse, where AI-driven applications and products will play an important role. Zuckerberg said, the experiences we're building for the metaverse require enormous computing power, and RSC will enable new AI models that can learn from trillions of examples, understand hundreds of languages, and more. This might be the most dystopian thing I think I've ever heard of in my entire life, and I didn't think it could actually get any worse than Facebook trying to not only create their own world currency, but also their own actual world inside of a computer. No real news on the actual function of said AI mega supercomputer, but I assume the main purpose is to harvest data, to make sure that if you are using their platform, if you are in the metaverse, everything you do, everything you say, everything you touch is basically absorbed by this computer so that the algorithm can figure out exactly what you're going to do next or what you would like to see next. The main purpose of a lot of these platforms, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, you kind of name it, is to keep your attention for as long as possible. It's not to show you pretty things. It's not to make your life easier. The idea is for you to continuously scroll forever. This is why sometimes I have laughed about this with me and my friends. I can pick up my phone, I open up Instagram, and I'm looking through art, and before I know it, I look up and it's nighttime outside. It's not a joke. It actually happens quite frequently. So the idea of us being inside of a metaverse is basically to keep us inside that metaverse for a very long time. This was once again quite popular news, but there was no actual description as to exactly what the AI would be doing or how it would be using the information, because we can only assume that if it's producing or computing quadrillions of transactions per second, that over the course of an hour, it's basically taking so much data in that it knows exactly what to push back out to keep you in the metaverse. What a weird time to be alive. I mean, especially with the constant Facebook and Meta, and the other day, the Libra news and stuff like that. A lot of these things are once again expected to launch sometime this year. This is meant to be, you know how every single year in the cryptocurrency space, there's always like a 3-letter word that ends up making it. So before it was ICO, and then 2020, and then 2021 were the word NFT. The word this year is meant to be metaverse, where all these things begin launching. Apple releases their AR software, headset, what have you, so on and so forth. So yeah, Get ready, because if you thought the future was already ridiculous, just wait until Facebook has a computer that does quadrillions of transactions or computations per second. So, I'm not ready, but all right, let's move on. Also I did not see the future going this way news. I assumed we would have flying cars by now news. OG influencer Paris Hilton has continued her crusade into the metaverse, saying that she sees it as the future of partying, going out, interacting with people, and being social. Fantastic. On Monday, Hilton appeared as a guest on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, where she spoke about her experiences in the NFT community. Hilton told Fallon that she will be dropping her first NFT collection with Superplastic on the Origin protocol soon, but didn't give any further details regarding a time frame. Superplastic is a vinyl toy and digital collectibles company. All right, makes sense. She revealed the collection to audience members entitled Forever Fairy Tale, a collage of memories with her new husband, Carter Roym. She then gifted the first NFT to Fallon, and every other audience member also got an NFT as well. Do you remember the other month when Cardi B, if you don't know who Cardi B is, open up a new tab on YouTube and watch a Cardi B music video. That I think is kind of I don't know her as a person, but as far as her celebrity, her aura, that's usually what she gives off in the presence of others. Now, the really weird news was that Cardi B actually had a lengthy conversation with the former CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, about as to if Bitcoin was going to be the future currency of the world, which I thought was really weird because, once again, music video, Cardi B asking Jack Dorsey, is the US dollar going to be usurped by Bitcoin? This is kind of on that same exact level. A lot of people tend to know Paris Hilton as this, floating in the air socialite, what have you, money. So the idea of her, and this is not the first time that she's done this, like describing NFTs to people, or how NFTs are going to change the world, or what the metaverse is actually going to be, on a nighttime television show, and then gifting digital art to hundreds of people in the audience. Once again, did not see the future going this way. Not at all. If you had told me this in 2000, that this was I would have probably laughed at you, because it would have made no actual sense. So, the metaverse size are definitely coming, and I hope you are prepared, because at some point there's going to be a time in your life when you are walking through a metaverse and there's going to be a digital representation of Paris Hilton who's going to be DJing at a party, and it's going to freak you out. Anyway, that's the Paris Hilton future of partying inside of a metaverse. This is hyper dystopia news. And let's move on. Also oh my gosh, this is super surprising news. I can't believe it. The software behemoth Google has reportedly started a new blockchain-based division inside of its labs group. The division will also deal with other distributed computing and data storage technologies. While the company has been wary of associating with any form of cryptocurrency, not entirely true. Bill Reddy, Google's president of commerce, stated on the 19th of July that they were paying a lot of attention to the area. So the news is that Google is apparently going blockchain. They're going to be getting into the blockchain space. They're going to be having some type of a blockchain inner working thing. Once again, this is not that surprising, because we had news at the end of 2020, even mid-2020, that there were a number of mega companies out there who had job postings on LinkedIn and many other places. It was Amazon, it was Google, it wasn't Instagram. What was it? I can't remember the other names of these rich companies who basically were looking for like 5 or 6 people to work their new blockchain thing. Oh, JP Morgan Chase was also another one, and people were like, what? Banks don't like crypto? That's so weird. Banks have never touched cryptocurrencies before. So I would not be surprised if we at some point in the future time end up getting news that Google is actually in possession of hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin and or hundreds of thousands of Ether and have been accumulating over the last couple of years. A lot of people confuse the fact or don't know about the fact that these mega companies usually, I don't know for certain, but the movies and documentaries I've been watching and just reading things online can usually have shell companies and shell companies of a shell company. And that shell company is wrapped inside of 8 other shells. Like imagine like a gigantic seashell that has 8 other shells inside of it that is in a subsidiary of the other company who ends up buying cryptocurrencies for them. I think it would be completely ridiculous for anyone to think at this point that Google itself actually has no cryptocurrency. It probably isn't going to have any cryptocurrency for a very long time. It's abundantly clear that they've been in this space for a while, especially as we were getting news at the end of 2017 that all these companies were going to enter the space. And then in 2019, when Facebook launched their coin, we were also getting news that the other companies were going to do it as well. But then 2 days later, after Facebook announced that they were going to be launching their own digital currency called Libra, the US everything, the Senate, the Congress, the White House, the US SEC and CFTC basically said no to Facebook. And then the news about any other company doing this completely dissipated. So just know that they're in the space. I was going to make like a goldfish joke. Like, you know, the idea that like goldfish like forget after like a couple of seconds. No one knows if that's actually true. It's simply the thing that's been thrown around for a number of years. But I always wonder why people in the crypto space forget so easily, why there's no actual focus on any type of news or event that's really taking place. Like, I know some of you out there are definitely paying attention. But to the other like 80 or so percent, I really wonder, because I see people, I lurk on Twitter and I look to see what people are talking about or what they're discussing. And sometimes we end up getting news and like, it's either like they go so far to the other direction that it ends up being like hyper speculative. Like, well, Google sounds like Moogle and Moogle sounds like XRP. So they must be accepting XRP in the next 4.5 months. I can't believe it. And everyone starts making YouTube videos about it. Or it's like they forget in like a day and a half and then the news comes back a week later and they're like, why aren't prices pumping? And it's like, because we already had this news. We already had this news before. Anyway, that's the Google news. Super surprising, right? You know, all the other wealthiest people on the planet have already said out loud that they're buying up tons of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I guess, you know, Google hasn't gotten there yet. All righty. Let's move on. Also in the news, Facebook, Coinbase has added 5 new coins, many of which you have probably never heard of. Apparently they are, is there like an actual thing for this? I can't tell what the difference is. A coin called TCAP. Okay. Cryptex Finance. DIA, that is DIA. Maple. And Unify Protocol DAO. Right. So Facebook keeps adding coins that I don't think people are actually asking for. I always wonder how the actual process is for them to add coins. Because, listen, we can honestly say to each other, it's probably not people sending them emails like they did before in the past. For those of you who weren't here in the long ago, if you wanted XRP, Lumens, Cardano or something, they would simply basically imply that you had to ask them for it. And I assume they were getting millions of emails all the time of people asking, can you please add this altcoin to your platform? And then they initially, after a while, actually ended up doing so. But I don't assume, sorry if I'm wrong, I don't assume that there are millions of people who are begging them to add Cryptex Finance, DIA, Maple, Pluton, or Unify Protocol DAO. These coins might be popular in their own circles, or you might even know about them and or have them, but you understand what I'm saying. So I always wonder, you know, who gives the thumb up for these things, or is there someone choosing these coins to add to their platform because Coinbase has a vested or monetary interest in said project? So cool. These coins will begin trading as usual on Coinbase Pro once they receive an enormous amount of liquidity, usually hundreds of millions, if not low billions of dollars, which at that point, if they end up being completely popular on Coinbase Pro, they then end up moving to normal Coinbase. But, you know, this is now like a once a week kind of thing that Coinbase keeps doing this, where they are always adding usually 5 to 6 different coins, none of which many people have ever heard of. Yeah, so I think the Coinbase effect has definitely waned a bit as they keep just adding stuff that no one's actually asking for. All right, let's move on. And to finish things off, this is the news that I mentioned that we went over before, but I think I just told you that it happened, but we actually didn't go over it. Flushing Bank, a New York State chartered commercial bank, will offer Bitcoin services to its customers in Q1 of 2022, the company said in a Tuesday statement. The firm is the latest traditional financial institution to jump on the Bitcoin bandwagon in a partnership with New York DIG. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we heard that New York DIG had apparently partnered with, it was more than 24 banks. My brain says 300 banks, but I'll leave it like 50. Let's say 50 banks. Had partnered with at least 50 banks, and that by the end of this year, all these banks would be offering Bitcoin and cryptocurrency custody and selling and buying services to people within the United States. We're getting news about these like every 3 or 4 days. This news never actually ends up being popular, and I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why. The idea that the vast majority of banks across the United States are going to allow you to walk in and buy Bitcoin is insane. When you talk about actual Bitcoin adoption, that's massive. But this news never ends up being popular. It's always just a kind of a really weird side story that someone, you know, hears about once or twice, and then it kind of disappears. When you talk about hyper-Bitcoinization, this is actually it. I myself, this is just me, find news about New York DIG partnering with at least 50 banks. I'm pretty sure it's over 100, 300, whatever. Banks inside the United States, a lot more exciting than the stellar Lumens news. Like, imagine in 5 years, every bank in some way, shape, or form in the United States giving their customers access to Bitcoin, or bonds based off of Bitcoin, or Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies directly. Or when you go into your online banking, you not only see how much you have in your bank account, but also in your Bitcoin account. This stuff is happening right now, but it's never exciting to people. I don't get it. Anyway, that's the Bitcoin Flushing Bank, New York DIG, in the news every 3.5 days with a brand new bank news. And yeah, let's move on. I always forget to start this thing. Jeez Louise. Okay, wait for it. Wait for it. I don't know why I always forget it. I really don't understand myself. Alrighty. Wow, that bus is full. That is definitely going to do it for this video. I do hope that bus is also very full. My gosh, drive away already. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, and or supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.